You know what's crazy to me? We have one player in the NBA who has MVP candidate, MVP potential written all over him, and no one is talking about it for this upcoming season. And that player is Anthony Edwards. This guy is going to be the best player in the league at some point in his career, and I think next year is going to be the year he gets to the star status that we're all hoping he can be. So last season he averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Now those numbers don't really blow you away, but going into year 3, I've got 3 major points for you to why Anthony Edwards will be the MVP, or at least finish top 3, top 5 in the MVP conversation. Alongside his spectacular play, he also gives you the highlights you want. And he's also a menace off the court, giving us some of the best player interviews we have in the game today.
More crunchy. Crunchy is texture, and creamy is better.
So let's get into point number 1. First, let's talk about his postseason run last year versus the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round of the playoffs. So Anthony Edwards averaged 25 points on 50% from the field and on 40% from 3. Now that's crazy numbers, especially in the playoffs. A very good defensive Memphis Grizzlies team. And I think that's only going to continue for him. And Anthony Edwards has been a very confident player ever since he stepped into the league. And I think this is going to increase his confidence even more. And I think it's solidified with an organization, within the NBA, within your friends, your family. Everyone knows that Anthony Edwards is going to be the best player on the Minnesota team moving forward. And especially the 2 times that Karl-Anthony Towns has been in the playoffs, he's underperformed, while Anthony Edwards has overperformed and has stepped up to the expectations that's put on his shoulders. So carrying that momentum in the next season, I think Anthony Edwards is going to average 28 points on like 50% from the field and like 37% from 3. I don't believe his 3-point percentage is going to stay at 40%, because that's just an insane number for everything else he can do on the court. But he's really, really going to step up next season, and I'm so excited to watch him play. So now let's get into point number 2, and that is Rudy Gobert. How does Rudy Gobert affect Anthony Edwards on offense? Well, let me tell you, there's one reason why. Rudy Gobert is a top 5 defense in himself. So when you have a guy like Anthony Edwards who's hyper athletic and get a lot of his buckets in transition, how transition buckets happen, you stop the other team from getting the orange ball in the orange cylinder so that you can grab a rebound, kick it out to your wings, and just run down the court with his young Minnesota team. That's where Rudy Gobert comes into play. He's going to be that guy blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, turning shots at the rim, and ultimately leading to more transition baskets, because the other team can have a harder time to score on offense. It's a pretty simple concept, but if you really break it down, that could lead to 3 or 4 or 5 more transition baskets for Anthony Edwards every single game. Because you think about everyone else that's going to be in the starting lineup, you have D'Lo, not the most biggest, quickest guy on the court. You have Kyle Anderson, who his nickname is literally slow-mo, so he's not going to be up down the court. The guy's going to be farthest down the court, and the guy's going to be running the fastest in transition is going to be Anthony Edwards. And with his high-flying capability, it's going to be insane on how many people he's going to dunk on, and his finishing around the rim is spectacular. It's going to be a field day for this Minnesota team once Anthony Edwards gets out in transition. You can pretty much mark it as a basket at this point. And point number 3, after a player's 3rd year in the league, they are eligible for the rookie max extension, and that is if they make an All-NBA team, which Anthony Edwards will be highly motivated to do, because if he does that, he will be eligible for a damn near, or maybe even over, a $200 million contract. And I don't care how much money you make, anyone will be motivated to get $200 million, especially with the contract that he has now. I think it may be like a maybe $30, $40 million deal. I don't really know what rookies get coming into the league, but I know that $200 million is going to be at least quadruple what he makes now. Speaking about pulling in millions of dollars, if you guys can like and subscribe on this video so I can get monetized, it'd be much appreciated. I don't think I'm gonna make $200 million from this video, but I would like to get monetized and maybe, be able to buy lunch for myself, because, I need to eat too. So money is power. Who would not want to be motivated by $200 million? And he has the skill set and the build, and just overall, he passes the eye test. So if he makes an All-NBA team, he's going to be eligible for $200 million. It's going to be insane. So referring back to the MVP conversation, I absolutely think you got to watch out for Anthony Edwards for the MVP race this year. I project he's going to have a similar jump that Ja Morant had this past season, where Ja Morant pretty much went from borderline all-star, fringe all-star player to superstar, all-star starter. That's what I believe the jump Anthony Edwards is going to make this year. and it's going to be very, very fun to watch. Now, will he win the MVP award? I'm going to say probably not, because usually guys need to have one good year ahead of them, like one MVP caliber season, to then get the MVP the following season. It's just the way the NBA works. I mean, you have anomalies like Steph Curry, who won it in his first real breakout year in a superstardom, but because he changed the game so much, is something we've never seen before. But players like Giannis, Harden, Westbrook, Kevin Durant, LeBron's another anomaly. But like all those guys had MVP caliber seasons the prior year to actually winning the MVP. It's just the way the MVP voting works. But that's what I got for you guys in this video. I hope this made a whole lot of sense. New style of video, hoping it worked, and I'll see you guys in the next video.